Okay, I've watched episode 2 of season 2 of Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor Who, and I had problems with it. So I'm not going to lay out the whole plot or anything, but I'm going to go through some things that I noticed and had issues with. So if you haven't seen it, please watch it. Don't let my take on it turn you away from watching it. You should see it yourself and make your own decision. But here's what I felt. Now, the companion, Belinda, is tonally inconsistent. Last episode, she was a reluctant companion. She was put off by the doctor when he scanned her DNA without her permission. She didn't buy into his spiel about the excitement of traveling all of time and space, having seen that he promised the same thing to Sasha last episode, someone who perished, and wondered if he promised all the girls the same thing. And the doctor creeped her out with his laugh, like, ha 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 ha, I'm just a rascal. And she said that she was not one of his adventures. She just wanted to go home, which he could not do because they bounced off of the target day in 2025. And last episode, we left a frustrated Belinda sitting in the TARDIS, failing to get home. So now, when we get into the TARDIS this episode, it starts off fairly similarly, with Belinda frustrated that the doctor can't get her home. He makes a device that can establish tethers to 2025 whenever they land, and after enough tethers are ready, the device can reel the TARDIS into its target place and time. This is what he meant by taking the long way around to get her home. In the Christmas special last December, the doctor had to take the long way around to get the combination to open a briefcase. So is taking the long way some kind of theme for this season? Also, in the Christmas special, Joy merged with a sun in that very same briefcase and became a star. And in episode 1 of this season, Belinda was gifted a star, which was named for her. So we have 2 stars already. And then this episode, our own star, the sun, plays a big role. Now, they land in 1952, and the doctor is ready to go out and establish the tether, but Belinda stops him from going out alone. She wants in on this. But I thought she didn't want to be one of his adventures. So this is tonally inconsistent. She worries that her clothes might get her arrested in 1952 since she slept in them the night before. But the doctor gets giddy and they rush off to change into area-appropriate garb. And Belinda seems very excited to get out and step out with this cool vintage type of dress into 1952 and see what's there. So where has our reluctant companion gone? So Belinda's inconsistency between and within episodes seems problematic to me. So next up is our villain, Lux Imperator, member of the Pantheon, god of light. You can't run away. How can you escape light itself? But Lux is a very weak villain and suffers from inconsistency as well. Born from a moonbeam, hitting a spoon and bouncing through the lens of a projector to hit a movie screen and turn a cartoon character into a living 3D being. Lux started off the episode as a menacing figure. And what unfolds? Well, Lux imprisoned 15 people within frames of film. Why? Did that empower him in some way? Lux knew of nuclear testing from newsreel footage and wanted to absorb the light of a nuclear explosion and increase his power. That was his goal. But he seemingly couldn't go outside. He couldn't leave the movie theater. Why not? He had full autonomy and was not tied to the screen or the projector. Except if the projectionist played a scene from the movie that birthed Lux, and his lookalike character, Ring-a-Ding, started singing and dancing. Then Lux had to sing and dance along with that figure. Why? The projectionist knew that playing that scene could temporarily imprison Lux. How did the projectionist learn that? And why did Lux permit him to have such power, even as minor as it was? Why? The projectionist plays films every night, even though the theater is now closed due to the 15 people going missing. It is mentioned that playing the films feeds Lux. How? This is never mentioned again and has no function in the plot. So back to Belinda. Belinda, upon seeing a marquee displaying Rock Hudson and a fake film title, remarks that she learned all about him when she studied HIV in medical school. Of all the stars of that era, why Rock Hudson? Why the HIV reference? It never comes up again. But Belinda also remarks that it is sad knowing what becomes of him later. Is that the real commentary? Knowing the future is a burden, a tragic thing. Belinda knows now that in the year 5,000 something, so 3,000 years into the future, she will have descendants because the Doctor has met them. But she's not married currently, nor does she have any children at present. Will this reference? It's sad knowing what becomes of Rock Hudson. It's sad knowing certain events in the future will happen. Is that something that will have a meaning later in the season? Now, earlier, Belinda asked if she could get arrested in 1952 for wearing the clothes she slept in. Later on in the episode, the Doctor reveals that they both could get arrested in 1952 simply because of the color of their skin. There are no whites-only signs on the diner they visit or the movie theater, and aside from some imposters Lux uses to try to trick them later on, racism is never brought up in this episode. It is historically accurate, but our heroes interact with almost no one from this time period, and this segregation point, similar to the HIV reference, plays no part in the overall narrative. Just throwaway non-commentaries. Back to Lux. After the Doctor heals himself, Lux realizes who the Doctor is, and that he has a light inside of him that can generate a body. Now, Lux wants to absorb the Doctor's light and generate a proper living body for himself, which looks gross and distorted as any cartoon being brought to real life would. Will this allow him to go outside? Will having a body of this kind let him acquire the light of a nuclear explosion? What is his goal anyway? Now, they do make a little joke about it later on in the episode, some trio of characters. But as a viewer, it was frustrating and distracting. What are Lux's limitations? What are his goals? What are his abilities? Why is he there? What does he want? Now, in season 1, the toy maker, brilliant, terrifying, powerful, menacing. And it was very clear what he was all about. Earlier on, we also had the maestro, very interesting character, very interesting ability, basically stealing music and the joy of music from the world. Lux is nothing compared to those two. So back to Lux. Well, it turns out that apparently he can't go outside or shouldn't go outside because the sun is so powerful, its light so immense, that it overpowers Lux and transforms him into an infinite being that becomes one with the universe and ceases to exist. But he was the god of light, wasn't he? Had Lux never been exposed to a sun before? It makes no sense. His motivation, his goals, his actions, his defeat, just mind-bogglingly meaningless by the end of the episode. The HIV reference, the segregation reference, the 15 trapped people, the goals of Lux. It is like this episode was made from an unfinished script that needed a few more passes and a lot of polish. No nuance, no natural growth of our lead characters, inconsistent characterization from our companion. Other things, the projectionist is helping Lux because Lux returned the man's dead wife to him. At the end, this apparition of the wife assists in defeating Lux and tells her husband, "Find me." Will that pay off sometime later in the season? The Doctor and Belinda meet a trio of fictitious Doctor Who fans who convince our heroes that it is them who are not real, only to immediately tell the truth that the trio Who is not real and will no longer exist after the heroes leave their presence, but just clumsy and uninspired. At the end, they're still alive anyway and seem confused by it. So was that meta? It was beyond me, whatever it was. A non-commentary on fandom? Doctor Who has done commentary on fandom before, so much better than this. I just don't get the point of the trio. Then Mrs. Flood pops in for a wink at the viewers. Why is she in 1952? I worry that overusing her will diminish her impact. It's not making her more mysterious. It's just making her more present, if that makes any sense. But anyway, and the Doctor cried, as expected. I was not impressed with this episode, but I'll keep watching. Russell T Davies has that reputation. The whole bad wolf, Mr. Saxon, or lingers. And who knows what will pay off later on, or if nothing will, or if I and others are trying to figure things out and reading a lot into very little. Are these red herrings, are they meaningless? Is it just bad writing? It's hard to say. Now, the performances are great, the costume is great, the film looks good, but the script is weak. I watch Doctor Who because I have liked Doctor Who so much in the past, and I know that things can turn around in a double heartbeat. Just a regeneration of lead character and main showrunner, taking the show in a new direction, for better or for worse. We have only 8 episodes this season, so I want everything to mean something, to have a payoff, to lead into the finale. If the premise of this season is jumping around, establishing tethers to pull the TARDIS to 2025, and return Belinda to her rightful place and time, if Belinda is a reluctant companion who just wants to go home, something that gets delayed by the Doctor getting drawn into mysteries every time they land, if the foreshadowing that the Earth will be destroyed in 2025 and our heroes have to prevent that is the climax of the season, I guess I just have to keep watching and see how things play out. But overall, I thought this was a weak episode. Better than the worst of season 1, but still a very weak episode. Thanks for watching. See you next time.